The game controller seems like an easy concept. I mean, we have the Xbox controller and the DualShock controller. Those are like the two kind of basic ones, and there's the Switch controller, which I think looks fucking goofy. But as iconic as most games are, along with the console being even as iconic as some of the games, some of the controllers to these consoles fucking sucked. I think it goes without saying that we should just start off with the Xbox original controller, aka the Duke. The Duke is a pretty badass name for a controller, but this thing was fucking god-awful. It was ugly, it was fat, the buttons sucked. Like, what the fuck is that D-pad? Why were the buttons aligned like that? This controller just sucked overall. I think the look of the console also kinda sucked. I don't remember what year this console came out, so I guess that could mean a lot, but gross controller. The next controller I have on here is also an iconic one, the Nintendo 64 controller. This thing was long, it was bulky, the D-pad sucked. If anyone has ever tried to play fighting games on that, oh my god. The Nintendo 64 was an amazing console, it had so many good games, but this controller, you just couldn't. Next controller I have is the Atari Pro controller. The Atari Pro controller, don't really understand what's even going on. Like, there's the D-pad, there's the many red buttons, and then the numpad. You can make phone calls with this thing. You actually couldn't make phone calls. I don't know if you could make phone calls. Could you make phone calls with this fucking thing? No. The next controller is probably the worst on the list. I mean, this one isn't really known about. When you see it, you might barf. So the next controller is the Intel Pro wireless controller. This thing is fucking disgusting.
What the hell?
It's the weirdest shape I've ever seen. It looks like a neck pillow for airplanes. What games are you even playing with this? The thing is vile. If anybody has ever played video games with that, please do tell me how. Have you ever fucking seen this thing, Dane?
What the fuck is that?
The next one is the fucking Power Glove, bro. Power Glove, I did put it on this list because it's fucking goofy, but this thing was fucking sick. It was a glove that you could control your video games with. What else could you want? I don't think it gets more like 90s, 80s than that. Genuinely just doesn't. I mean, the fella in this picture has a real nice haircut. Now, granted, I have no clue how the fuck you would play any game or what games you would play, because this is just an unrealistic controller, but I am not educated. So, if this is probably meant for a specific game, and if it is, then it's not as bad. It's not as bad as the ones on this list, but I think it's funny. It's fucking goofy. The next one is the fucking Dreamcast controller. This is just the Xbox original controller, but worse. I'm pretty sure the Xbox original controller was probably basing off of this, because they don't look too far off, but they also do look far off, because obviously. But this thing's pretty ugly. Don't really know what's going on in the middle there, but yeah, I don't know. It's just too bulky. It's not horrible though. I feel like I would definitely rather use the Xbox original controller, but it's kind of ugly. The next one is one that I owned for a long time, the Xbox 360 Kinect, and I bet you all own this, because it's just a horrible controller that they kind of forced you to buy. Like, this controller fucking sucked. It never really worked properly. Every time you would open it, it would be black and white, and it was kind of creepy. I remember being a little scared of that as a child. And the microphone on this fucking thing. Oh, the microphone. Oh my god, this microphone brought so many good roast battles. So many fucking... Dude, if you had a Kinect mic in Call of Duty, you're done. You were getting bullied for fucking hours. And hours and hours and hours. But I don't think you'd be bullied as hard as if you owned the Tony Hawk Pro Skater skateboard controller. This thing was horrible. It looked horrible. The design was horrible. It didn't fucking work. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you have any other bad controllers, leave them down in the comments, and I might make a sequel to this. Who knows? I don't know. I just was talking to my friends in Discord the other day, and I was just like, controllers get funky. We were talking about controllers, and we were talking about how ugly most controllers were, like, way back in the day. I mean, I know that this was kind of just experimenting because video games were not known yet. I mean, consoles weren't like a big thing yet. So it makes sense that they weren't, as simple and good as they are now. But some of these just seem like, how the fuck were you gonna make that work thing? Like the Intel one? But I don't know, man. These controllers suck. Like the video, subscribe, and...